Hello, everyone, and welcome to Movie Mandates. This is the show where my brother and I force each other to watch movies according to a certain monthly theme. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Andrew.
And this month's theme is back to school. So I mandated Andrew watch Summer School, the one from 1987, not to be confused with apparently 820 other summer schools that we found. But before we get to the correct summer school, it is only fair that since I mandated today's movie, Andrew gets to challenge me in a segment we call Trivial Trivia.
So, Summer School has quite the cast, particularly if particularly if you're familiar with television. A lot of television actors in this movie. So, what I would like you to do, and this may be difficult. It'll be interesting. It's probably one of those you either know it or you don't.
Sure.
You have some options. So name an actor from Summer School that is also in a horror movie, not TV horror, movie, theatrical horror, and the name of the movie.
Okay. Crap. So you said TV actors, and I was like, ooh, are you going to ask me about what TV shows some of these actors are on? Because that I know. As far as horror movies that these actors are in, God help me, Kirstie Alley has to be in some sort of horror movie, I'm sure. So the only thing that I can think of like that is immediate off the top of my head, and it's because it happened immediately when I saw the dude. Again, not a horror movie, but I would be remiss if I did not talk about it, was the dude who liked the pregnant chick. I forget that character's name, but the football guy is the football guy from Heathers.
Yes, he is. That's Patrick Laberaster Snibbersmup. Laberto played Kevin in this, but yeah, he is in Heathers, which it's a bit of a stretch.
It's a dark comedy. It is not a horror movie. Courtney Thorne-Smith, I know her, but I can't think of a horror movie she's in.
I couldn't find one. I did look at her filmography, but I didn't see any horror in there. Like some thriller, but
sure. And then I do not know who the tall drink of bathroom hall pass water was. Is that a person who's been in things?
I actually forgot to.
And then
I don't recognize him, and he's let me see if I can find him.
No, I don't
know. Might be one of his only film credits, because I don't even see him in here.
Okay, that's fine. Because I feel like I recognized. So I'm not going to do very well at this trivia because it is just not coming.
The pregnant student. Do you remember? Do you know the actor?
No.
That's Shawnee Smith.
What? She's in Saw.
Yes, she's in several of the Saw movies. So
yeah, I know who Shawnee Smith is.
But
that's Shawnee Smith.
That's Shawnee Smith. She's also in one of my absolute favorites, the Chuck Russell's remake of The Blob, which was 86, I think, and this was now
that you say it, like holy crap, that's exactly that. I mean, I know that that's the same person, and it's stupid of me to be like, that is her face. It looks just like her, because it is her. But like, it didn't even ring bells.
She also had a smaller part in Repo Genetic Opera, which we watched a few months back. And she's in, and I only know this because I looked at her filmography, she's also in The Grudge 3, the second sequel to the American remake. I haven't even seen the original. I've seen none of the Grudge movies.
I was gonna say, isn't that the one that had Sarah Michelle Gellar? Sorry,
I believe she was in the
first one,
the first remake.
Yeah. No, I'm so excited now that you said that. Like, I feel so excited because I freaking love Saw. You know what I did not see?
Another television actor.
The Chris Rock one, Spiral. But
Oh,
kind of like,
the one
I
that
didn't,
Chris Rock is in. Yeah, I haven't seen that one either.
but yeah.
But Patrick
La 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 la.
Labierto,
Labradoodle.
in addition to being in Heathers, he also would go on to do Ghoulies Go to College, and he's in The Last Sharknado, which is actually called The Last Sharknado.
Have you seen any of the Sharknadoes?
I have not.
I haven't either, and I feel like a bad person kind of for not seeing them, because it's like I wouldn't have entered them expecting like a good film or anything. I just, like I can enter with the correct mindset, you see. And I feel like it would, but it's just now it's so far in the past and my future is so finite. At least when you hit this age, you realize that time is finite. So I'm like, well, I'd like to, maybe I won't spend 2 hours watching
So
that
Kirstie Alley is in at least one horror movie that I can think of.
I feel like
it's a remake. It's directed by John Carpenter, and it co-stars Christopher Reeve, and I believe it's his last performance before he was paralyzed.
Oh, is it like a noirish? No, it's John Carpenter. It's because I was thinking Mousetrap or whatever that shit was.
No.
I can. Come on. What is it?
The Village of the Damned.
Oh, with the
creepy
little
children with the blonde hair and glowing eyes.
Yeah, my children look just like that. Yeah. At least they did when I entered the family. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm entering with Children in the Corn.
Okay. Another one, you'll probably, I know you've seen her before. Kelly Jo Minter. She's the woman who played the dyslexic one who can't drive.
The one who can't drive. Yes. Yeah. Who is she? Well, you just told me yes, but
I know her. Where I immediately recognize her is from A Nightmare on Elm Street 5. She plays.
Is that the Dream Warrior one?
Dream Child. She plays Alice's friend who is into diving and a friend of the kid who's the comic book enthusiast. She's just one of the crew in that movie.
Yeah, every time I saw her, I just looked at her and I'm like, "You're everything about you. I know who you are, and I cannot place you." She's
also in the rather excellent The People Under the Stairs.
Oh, I've never seen
that. She's also in not great but fun Popcorn, and she's also in The Lost Boys.
Oh, come on. I just referenced The Lost Boys yesterday, 2 days ago. Nope, yesterday, 2 days ago. Doesn't matter. I referenced it.
Ken Olant, who is the sleepy stripper guy, several years earlier is in another one of my favorites, April Fool's Day.
I know you love that one. I remember when we saw the cover. That's the one with the girl that has the knife behind her back, right?
Yeah, she's
and it's like a party.
She's facing a party, and in one hand she's holding up a glass of like wine or champagne or something, while she's holding a butcher knife behind her back, and her hair is braided into a noose.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I loved that cover art.
Yep. Oh, it's a great poster. Movie's pretty good too.
Is it that good? Good.
Sadly, the title of the movie kind of gives the thing away, but what are you going to do? And finally, we have Fabiano Udenio, who is the Italian lady in the movie, who Chainsaw and his friend are crushing over.
Okay,
the foreign exchange student, I guess.
Yes.
She's the Herbert West and Dan's assistant in Bride of Reanimator.
Ooh.
So
are those boys in anything? Chainsaw and his pal? Because they looked the Chainsaw Francis looked familiar. The blonde, not as much.
He's had the blonde one has not done much. Chainsaw's been in a bunch of stuff, a lot of TV stuff. You know who's probably the most accomplished though is
Mark Farman.
Yeah, well, yeah, because he's been doing TV for decades. But what's his name?
Carl Reiner.
Well, I mean, he's pretty accomplished too as a comedian and writer and director.
And when I saw his name come up, I was like, "What is that?"
Yeah, what is his name?
Which one did
Hang on a
he?
second. The dorky kid.
The one with the high pitched voice.
Yeah, the high-pitched nasally voice. Where the hell is his name in here? Why can't I find him?
I don't know. Let me see if I can take a gander. So Chainsaw, as you're looking, and obviously it's 100% not this actor, but like just his demeanor and a little bit about him, he reminded me of Styles from Teen Wolf. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not the same actor, but
Oh, I'm very aware he's not the same actor. It's just Richard
Stephen
Horvitz.
Horvitz. Yeah. He's probably the most accomplished out of all of them. If you've ever watched a cartoon in the last 25 years, he probably has a voice role on it. He did play a lot of dorky high school kids in that era, but he's also a very prolific voice actor.
Invader Zim.
Mm-hmm.
Angry Beavers. Wow. The Loud House. Oh, wow. Yeah.
And
If it's on Nickelodeon, this guy is in it.
And one more actor who I recognized her, but I couldn't place her until I looked it up. But Amy Stock, who plays Kim,
The girlfriend
Mark
at the
Harmon's
beginning.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's Missy from the Bill and Ted movies.
Oh, come on. That's awesome. Oh, look at her. That's so cool. Yeah.
It's like I've seen her somewhere before.
Well, and that's the thing that's so funny is because, I mean, this movie was what, 87? And I'm looking at all these people and I'm like, they all look super familiar. And I only recognized Kevin, the football guy, because like Heather's, I know, forwards, backwards, and upside down. Yeah. But and he looked in it, and it's that like within 2 years. So like that is his look. That is what he looked like. But everybody else, I was like, oh, I feel like I should know who you are. And I love Pregnant Girl. I loved her.
Johnny Smith, yeah.
So, yes, I loved her character. I loved like her performance. I was very pleased. I was like, I was very drawn to her, and now I know why. And I had
Carl
no
Reiner,
idea that was her.
Carl Reiner, of course, more known, I think, probably for his comedy and writing. But as far as directing, I'd say the stuff I most remember him for is he did a bunch of the Steve Martin movies around 1980 or so. The Jerk, Man with Two Brains, those films. So
he wrote those ones or directed those or both?
He did direct them. I don't know if he wrote them. I'd have to look it up. Wouldn't be surprised.
Because of course,
prolific comedy writer.
He
didn't write this, I don't think.
No, I think he just directed it. Yes.
Yes. Although I
love him in Ocean's 11.
Yeah,
Ocean's movies.
Actor too. Also great character actor. There was some nepotism going on in the credits, but there was like a Ryan Reiner, who was the assistant in training to something like that. It's like you gave your nephew a job. That's sweet.
Do you remember the end of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang when I think it's Robert Downey when he comes in and he's and it was when they started the whole post credits thing. I mean, granted, I doubt this is the movie that started it, but it was newish. Post Ferris Bueller, newish.
Ferris Bueller's like the earliest one I can think of off the top of my head.
Agreed. But like it was fun. They're like, "Were you here watching the credits? The best boy is someone's like nephew. Get over it." And then they just go, however he says it. But I remember going, "Well, yeah, that tracks." So there you go. Well, that's fun. What a freaking cast! And you'd never seen. So after you watched it, had you ever seen this movie?
Yes. And I'll tell you. I'll tell you. It was as soon as I saw the kid who was sleeping in class, I'm like, oh yeah, he's a stripper. I've seen, and he's sleeping because he works at. Okay, I've seen this, but with the exception of just a handful of scenes and stuff, I had almost no memory of this movie. Okay. I remembered that character. I remembered the guy who goes to the bathroom. I remembered like a few individual lines. And I remembered the two gore scenes, which are actually really well done. And I don't know the studio that did those effects. They're in the credits. It's like
They're really well done.
Bob's Effects or something like that.
Gotta find this road. It's
like Bob's Road. So yeah, I had seen it before, but I remembered almost nothing about it. So it was a pretty fresh experience watching the film, although I did remember a lot of it. So
that's so, I don't know. I just, all of a sudden I was like, I have the feeling that he realized somewhere in the movie going, I've seen this one. I don't know. I had not. I was very, I will admit, because of the year, I was wary going into it. And it was one of those things that I thought hard about choosing it. And then I was like, the thing is that movies are time capsules when they were, and you can't change the past. You can only learn from the past to change the future. So like, as uncomfortable as like some things might have been, I was like, I'm just going to try to watch it. And I'm not going to lie, I was very pleasantly surprised that although stereotypes were like, everyone was just kind of a caricature of like, this is the nerd, this is the jock, this is the this is the that, whatever. The entire movie, you just kind of have to have your mindset of yes and like just yes, this fine, yes and go. But I was quite happy that there wasn't like Mark Harmon didn't, even when the foreign exchange student came in all sexified and the boys in the class were like la 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 la, Mark Harmon just kind of was like, take a seat. You know, he didn't gush over her. He didn't let Courtney Thorne-Smith get to him. Like he wasn't even tempted. And I was like, because you're the teacher. And I was like, thank God. Like I was so, and isn't that sad that I was proud of that? Isn't that like a sad thing that I'm proud of? But I was proud of it.
Well, I understand where you're coming from. I mean, John Hughes is responsible for some of the seminal teen drama comedies of the 1980s.
Right.
And they are classics in their own right, and an important piece of film history.
Yes.
And there's some really unfortunate and uncomfortable stuff in a lot of them.
Yes.
So I went into this film kind of expecting the same thing. I was also expecting nudity. Amazon Prime. You said nudity. I mean, there's a
string bikini.
There's what's his name? Ken's button a thong. That's it. That doesn't count as nudity. Of course, it's also probably a PG-13 film. I mean,
I
think there might have. Yeah, it's PG-13. I think there's one F word, but yeah. Anyway, yes, I was also very pleasantly surprised, low bar notwithstanding, that there are definitely some things to criticize, but for the most part, this film treats teen pregnancy, an interest in horror, sex, dyslexia. I already said teen pregnancy, right?
Underage drinking. Did you say that one yet?
Underage drinking. It treats all this stuff without shame. It doesn't make fun of it or try to make a joke out of this person can't read. They treat almost all of it with a lot of care and respect that I was not expecting at all. Also, what I found particularly stunning was Chainsaw and his friend. They're not sexist or leering towards the pretty foreign exchange student. They just, I mean, they're definitely attracted to her, but they don't objectify her. They want to hang out with her and share their love of horror movies with her.
And she gets into it.
Yeah, the whole class gets into it. It's
well, that's
really
true too. But
true. But yeah, Chainsaw and his friend and their relationship is actually kind of adorable.
Yeah, there's no like inappropriate advance on her either. Like, yeah, they want to see her in her bikini, and yeah, they like meant like she's undisputably gorgeous. Like she's a lovely symmetrical hot body. So like undisputed, good to look at. But there's no disrespect there. Like they are
Right.
not slapping her ass. The
Mhm.
only person who does unwanted touching is the stripper, puts his hand on
Kirstie Alley's
Alley,
knee, yeah.
and she just very gently takes it off. And I'm just like, this is so great. This is so great. I was very anyway. So I did like it. I will say, okay, so let's start at the beginning. And this is very funny for me because when the movie started, and first off, I freaking love the 80s idea of high school where we're all just throwing our trash away and in the air and running down the hall, and that there has to be a security guard at the door because we're chomping at the bit for the countdown, and we just run as if the bus isn't going to just sit at its thing and leave on time.
Now,
like,
was this the writer's experience of high school in the late 60s, early 70s? Or is this just what adults of the time thought we kids were doing in school in the 80s?
Or it's more entertaining.
Yeah.
Like no one just wants to watch 100 kids being like, well, I guess they wouldn't be on their cell phones now. I'm like looking down, but like they just like, so yeah, what are you doing tonight? Well, my mom's got me doing this, but yeah, okay, see you this week. Like that's not fun. Like that's not interesting. So it might just be, I don't know. I don't know if the chicken or the egg came first. In fact, it was the egg. But the point is that. But it began.
That's true. The egg long predates the chicken.
Long predates the
by
chicken.
tens of millions of years at least.
So long ago was the egg. So yes, this is all true. But no, so it started and things are happening. Oh yeah, and then teachers are like busting out of there as well. And I'm just like, oh, so fake. But Mark Harmon, at the beginning, the first 10 minutes, I just broke my nail. But that's because I am me. I was concerned about his acting at the beginning. I was like, did he finally learn how to act? As in like, this was an early film and he's just terrible. Because I was like, those first 10 minutes, I'm like, either he's terrible and in the future he'll learn how to act better, or he's so damn good that he makes this unbelievable character believe. And because by the end of the movie, I had forgotten how much I hated his acting at the beginning. And I think that it was because of the character, and because it's an over-the-top character. And you just have to get into, like I said, you just have to go with.
It's interesting. He's over the top in how laid back and blasé he is about it.
Right. And that's why I was like, is it the writing? Is it him? But there was something about the beginning that just threw me. And it could have been just the dichotomy of, being so laid back, but also so hyper at the same time. But then I got into it and things are fine and things are good. And yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed it. I will say, so regarding all of the
the guy who's a stripper, that's not presented as shameful either.
No, none of it. It's incredible. And like the guy who, and then I love at the end, there's a lot to really enjoy about this movie, but let's not skip to the end. Let's try to at least stay, I did enjoy our good friend, the dyslexic bad driver. Fun fact, I'm dyslexic and a bad driver. So like I really related to her. And let me
her driving reminds me of she pulls the side of the road. It's like, what are you doing? There was a car. It's like, bound to happen.
That
at least she didn't take her hands off the wheel and close her eyes and do this.
For those of you who wonder, that is exactly what I did those first couple years. Is that if there was another car on the road, I'd go, oh my God, and I'd like cover my eyes. And she just pulls over, and Mark Harmon just says it's bound to happen. And let's continue. And the best, but although like again, she's my favorite. Best part is when she does pass her driver's test and she runs out of the car and the seatbelt's still on.
that was
That's
a really
right.
nice bit of physical comedy. Yeah, it was really well done.
So that was great. So I really liked her because of, she definitely
she
reminded
hell of
me
a
of me.
screen presence.
She's a
It's a
great
shame
screen
she's
presence.
not she didn't do more work because she's great in everything she's in.
Yeah, I like the way she speaks. I like how she delivers her lines. I like just she's very interesting. And in her arc, I also find it very exciting that at the end, like, yeah, they didn't pass, but they all improved like greatly in this.
We're skipping to the end, but that's
I know, and I
really
said I wasn't, but I was
yeah,
finishing her arc
yeah.
because she didn't even take the test the first time.
This is kind of one of the it's an underdog movie, kind of like a sports
Yeah.
movie. So Mark Harmon, our just a gym or PE teacher, he's roped into so that he can secure tenure. He's roped into teaching a summer school remedial English class for the kids who failed and need to make up their work. So you're like, okay, so it's we've got a group of misfits that need to learn to put aside their differences and work together to achieve a goal. And they win the tournament at the end of the movie, right?
Yeah,
typically how these things go. So you might expect there, because his job is contingent on them passing, you might expect they pull together and at the last minute and they clutch it and they all pass. No, like 2 or 3 of them passed.
A few of them passed, and then the rest don't.
But the rest failed. But the point is, they won. They still won because they all greatly improved. Like, someone got a 16 on their test, they improved to a 62.
Yeah,
it's like 238% improvement or something like that. It's incredible, actually.
And that's what I thought was so
really
great.
a lovely lovely sentiment.
And I agree, and I thought that was so cool because of all the very unrealistic things about this movie, the fact, if they would have all passed, that would have just even been more, on the, oh sure, because I just caught my hand, but but they didn't. It was as unrealistic as it is. A lot of the very intricate moment by moment things are kind of realistic. Like Courtney, like a teacher's not gonna. So let's talk about Courtney for a second. She is just can't focus. Wants to be surfing. Very flighty individual she is. Not dumb, just can't, keep her, face forward.
She can focus on one thing at a time.
Yes. And if you get her at the right time, maybe that will be the thing.
And if you get her attention, she might focus on you, which is not the best thing for either of you.
Exactly. But then you meet when she moves in with, Mark Harmon. So that part, you're like, dude, like that would never happen. A teacher's not going to let the student just, waltz on in, blah, blah, blah. But her circumstance of why she wants to be there, because she has 18 family members living in one house, and she's talking about that she just lost the couch of her house. It's a real thing. There are some people who just have that's her situation. And then you understand, well, no wonder it's so hard for you to focus on things. You probably don't have any time to, do this. So everyone, as archetypes as they are, some of them there are some things that you're just
the movie does a really nice job of setting up and paying things off.
There you go. You're much more eloquent than me. I'm the fancy.
I will say that where the movie comes up short is I think I get the sense that probably the producers of this film were not expecting anything out of it. It was one of those things. It's a cheap script. This will be cute. We can sell this, and it'll do nicely on when it's syndicated on television or running on television. Yeah. But magic happened. They got a great comedy director and a bunch of great young actors and some great television actors and Kirstie Alley and Mark Harmon, and they ended up with a movie that was genuinely funny, genuinely sweet, impressively progressive for 1980 some, and
Yes.
and also with very broad characters, but well performed and likable. You just enjoy all these
Yeah.
characters. It's a great cast. And
Yes.
it's kind of a shame because I think another couple passes at the script and we could have a stone cold classic of the 80s instead of just that's a sweet movie.
I think you're right. Yeah. Because it is true. When I did finish it, because you're right. It is amazingly progressive for its time, and it would have, I think if I would have seen it back in the day when I was watching 16 Candles and I was watching Pretty in Pink and whatnot, like if this was one that was in there, I probably, with this maybe a little bit more sustenance, because those weren't as slapsticky.
Mm-hmm.
Not that there's anything wrong with slapsticky, but yeah.
Well,
You're
sure,
right. I
sure.
mean, I think I would have really enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed it anyway, but like I think I would have really, like, thinking back to
Oh,
younger.
I skipped over like the specific problem. I think the biggest problem this movie has is
Oh, he
the
did skip.
connective tissue.
Yeah.
Because this movie is structured kind of like scene one, scene two, scene three, scene four, and it just kind of it's not motivate. Scene one doesn't motivate
Motivate
itself
scene two.
in
It doesn't. Yeah.
scene two. It's very and
Yes. And
and
it's funny because a lot of the scenes, so because of that, it has some timing issues, which I know you and I always harp on. Because apparently the whole thing was like 6 weeks, and yet they went to like 8 different field trips and stuff. And that was a great scene. So at the very near the beginning, when he asked the class, he's like, I don't want to be here, you don't want to be here, so what do you guys want to do? And they're
let's
like,
go
let's
to
go on
Knott's
field
Berry
trips.
Farm.
Yeah, let's go somewhere. And then freaking Chainsaw's friend just has permission slips in his bag, and he's like, here, I have copies of permission slips, and everyone just signs it for their
And it's
parents.
like,
He's like,
oh, okay, well, all
okay,
right,
that'll work.
fine. Get those signed by your parents, and they all hand it back to them. They signed it themselves. He's like, oh, all right, sure.
But it's but you're right, because I was always like, so has like a month passed? Oh no, it's only been a week. Oh, that was a very jam-packed week they just had. And so there was some of that, and I think that now that you say it, it is because of that. Just there's nothing that tied, like some of the scenes you could almost put anywhere. They were just
Yeah, the movie,
there
you could edit this movie and
a
reorder
lot
the
of different
scenes
ways.
in dozens of different ways and it would work just fine
Yeah.
because the scenes are almost series of adorable vignettes.
Yeah.
They don't really depend too much on what came, although to its credit, again, the movie does set up and pay off stuff, but the individual scenes don't so much rely on the scenes that come before or after.
Right. And the one that I think was the most jarring for me was the peanut butter one with Wonder Mutt.
The dog's credited as, or actually I think the dog's name is Bo, but the character name is Wondermutt. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he's named in the film, but that was the credit.
Yeah. Well, he calls him Wonder Mutt throughout the whole
film. Oh, does he? I
yeah.
Completely missed that. All right.
Because he's just like, Wonder Mutt. He just like, that's what
even
he calls him.
The dog's toy is actually set up. Well, it's also set up and paid off.
That's true too. That is very true too. But so
why are we doing a From Here to Eternity parody? I don't know.
So let's get to that. First, I'm going to tell you the scene that was the most like, that could have gone anywhere in the movie. Like, as long as it hit before him and Kirstie Alley got together, it could have gone anywhere in the movie. And it was when he's sitting there with the peanut butter and the dog, and he says, we need to find a girl who has something or who wants what we have to offer. And I'm like, when is this? Like, this is a very like we're internalizing and talking to our dog, and like things have just happened, and you just ended up flirting with some, like you were just talking to her and inviting her out to dinner. Now you're like, we need to find, like, you found the one you want. Why are you now like waxing poetic to a mutt, being like, we need a girl who can bring utensils into this relationship? Like, that's what he needed. But it was just like a weird scene. It was a funny scene. He was very good at it. Thank gosh they cut between takes of the dog licking his finger and him licking his finger. But then at the end, and he kisses the dog, I was like, no, 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 no.
I don't. They must have smeared peanut butter on Mark and Kirsty's face, because that dog was in there.
He was in there. I was so uncomfortable. I was so uncomfortable. No, so I was totally taken to Don't Tell the Mom the Babysitter's Dead, one of my favorites. And because the Grunion Run and Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, like that's a really big thing that Christina Applegate does with.
They mentioned that in that movie.
Josh Charles. Oh yeah. It's a big deal. And
because I noticed in this movie, which it stood out to me this time because I used to live in Pacific Beach, so I've seen the Grunion runs, several of them.
But we didn't take advantage of it. They talked about it. I mean, granted.
Yeah, they don't actually go out and check out the fishes.
Well, I was expecting it to happen with him and Kirsty there at the end, but it was the wrong time of day.
Well, that would be weird if they're rolling around with all the fish.
Well, but she said, it would, but that's the payoff, because she talked about how she said it. So Courtney Thorne-Smith is in the room with Mark Harmon, and she's like, the Grunion, they come from miles away to just, get all nasty on the sand or whatever. She's like, have you ever done
horny fishes?
Yeah, fishes, whatever. And he's like, if I traveled 100 miles, I'd be sleeping. Whatever. He's like, I'd fall asleep.
Yeah, it's another thing. He's doing a very good job of
turning her down.
Turning her down, and what movie is it from? It's I think it's Hard Candy, the Patrick Wilson Elliot Page film from
I haven't
years
seen
ago, maybe. Page's character has a line once Patrick Wilson's been tied to a table. He's like, well, you were flirting with me. He's like, dude, when a 16-year-old kid starts flirting with you, you ignore it. You don't encourage it.
Yeah.
And that's what Mark Harmon's character does in this Hooch? What the hell is his name? Shoop.
I'm like, it starts with an SH, but yeah, Hooch.
There's an ooh in there somewhere. Yeah, he diffuses. He does not encourage it. He doesn't acknowledge it. He diffuses it with humor.
And he doesn't make her feel bad about it either.
Right. Now, writing wise, I think he comes off a bit too dense. I mean, it's almost played like he's just so uninterested in a 16-year-old girl.
That he didn't notice until she was laying on his bed, and he's like, oh, shit.
He's like, let's go do something else instead of laying in here in my bedroom. Even just a scene when Kirstie Alley comes over, if he would have just went outside, he's like, help. I don't know what to do here.
Right.
She has no place to sleep. We made a deal, and this is her deal.
Yeah.
She's clearly got the hots for me. I'm shutting her down, but help. I think that would have been enough.
Yeah, because he does come across. You are
well,
correct.
Actually, it's his interactions with Kirstie Alley where he's like, "What?" And it's like, "Dude, what do you think? What?"
Yeah,
you can pull that with her because that's shutting her down, but not with Kirstie Alley because
not with an adult.
And not with an adult, exactly.
Yeah, because I would have thought the same thing. I'd be like,
because he does
explanation, please.
Yeah, because he does confide in her and ask her for help with other stuff. So missed opportunity there. There are some things that the movie doesn't quite nail. We talked about how lovely and progressive it is in some instances, but there's a little bit of homophobia with the prison scene. It's not terrible. It's not the worst I've ever seen, but there's an undercurrent of it there. That's kind of the basis for that joke. I
made a friend, he says.
Yeah, and has an earring.
Yeah.
And bunch of big burly dudes surrounding him going, hey there, buddy. It's like, yeah, I get what we're doing here, but
it was also,
I've
for me, it was one of those, even now, kind of,
because he
you
ends up
have
going to prison in just a swim trunks
trunks and
and
roller skates, and they don't bring him his shoes, and he asks for
he
shoes.
asked for shoes. Well, I mean,
and they didn't bring him any.
they didn't
I know,
have any.
I know.
But also, what's Richard Stephen Horvitz's character, the nerd. The movie's a bit pro bully. If a person's a nerd, they kind of deserve it. It's okay to bully nerds because they're nerds. There's a little bit of that in there.
But isn't our cool bad driver girl, she even tells him, she's like, you're kind of cool, and then he does something, she's like, and then he pukes,
vomits or something. Yeah.
She's like, almost kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. This kid's on another level, but it's could have done more there. I mean, so I'm just saying the movie's not perfect. It's got a few bits where you're like,
but they're so mild compared to, and I guess that maybe that's what it is like, even for the time, they're mild.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, like
the dudes in the prison aren't like lisping or anything at him. So yeah. So well done, Carl Reiner and cast and stuff for not being yucky.
Although I will say, the relationship between Kirstie Alley and Mark Harmon, I loved and I hated. Because I like her, love that outfit she has at the end. I love the way she talks. I could listen. That woman's voice was sexy AF. But like when they first start and you meet her and she's, because she's not uptight. So that was nice. It wasn't like she's that like, I'm a good summer school teacher, and like, I'm gonna break her.
She's like, hey, could you guys stop swearing and use obscene gestures or something like that?
You could never get away with that today. You could never.
And so they start doing it. She's like, yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah. The obscene gestures, great. That's silent. And I'm just like, good.
I'm like, okay.
But yeah, no, there were things that I liked about her, but like, truly, I know that we just complained, quote unquote, about Mark Harmon not explaining why Courtney Thorne-Smith is in his home, but yet Kirstie is kind of back and forth with him too. Like it was immediate. Like she introduces herself and 4 sentences later, he's like, so are you married? And she's like, into it already. Like, and I get that the movie's only an hour and a half. You gotta really go. And I also get that this is where, for me, 1987 really felt like it, because she's there to just be the romantic interest, and I like you, I don't like you, I like you, I don't like you, I like you, I don't like you.
Well, I mean, at least it was, I clearly like you, but I'm seeing someone right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I'm kind of
we never talked about him. Is he someone? Was he in a horror movie, the boyfriend?
I think I looked it up, but no.
Okay.
So he's the nominal bad guy. He's the guy who wants to fire Shoop at all costs, and he's rooting for the kids to fail, just looking for he's just a slime ball. Very two-faced, like he's all sweet and it's all for the children, and when he's in front of Kirstie Alley, and then when he's in front of Mark Harmon, he's like, right, you scumsicle, I'll make sure you never work in any school again.
And that's what I liked about at the end when she breaks up with him. She's like, why don't you just go, like, you go to dinner and you can have both meals, one for both of your faces.
Yeah,
one for each of your faces.
Good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, look at you, look at that.
Yeah, I mean, the relationship between the two leads I've got some issues with, but both actors are so damn charismatic and work off each other so well that it's like, all out.
Oh yeah.
And
amazing chemistry throughout the end. No one felt out of place.
Great. What's wonderful,
there was no odd man out in that, like,
right. It's not what's interesting is it's not a Breakfast Club situation where you have disparate characters who need to learn to love each other and come together. No, they all get along pretty well at the start.
Yeah.
And they all really like each other, and they all take interests in other people's interests. Like the football player is helping the other gal with her Le Mans stuff, and
Yeah. Le Mans.
I said Le Mans, didn't I?
Sorry, I should have just let it go.
Should have. Yep. Should have let the comments fill up on that one. Le Mans stuff. It's like, and the foreign exchange student gets into the horror stuff, and they all accommodate the kids want to, the horror fans want to screen Texas Chainsaw, and not all of them are terribly into it, but they swing with it anyway.
Yeah,
when they prank the bad guy, and they stage a whole horror scene, which plays really funny in 1987. Whole classroom full of slaughtered kids probably doesn't play today in a movie, but they use the Chainsaw and the other kids, their makeup effects to the new substitute teacher walks in, and the kids are all disemboweled and hanging from stuff, but what sells it is they're all breathing and blinking and trying not to laugh.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And even the substitute teacher is kind of freaking out, but
he's not, and I love that.
He's like, oh my god, this is so stupid. He wasn't
like
for a minute, but
pissed a little bit. Like he's like, come
really,
on.
really good choices from the character standpoint, I thought. So
Yeah, I thought so too. I was really,
Carl.
I was really happy with it. I was thinking to myself, all right, back to school, like very non-offensive movies that we had. Like, they filled the need that was had. But yeah, I'm trying to think of, I just loved that opening. Oh, and it was Danny Elfman, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. The most understated workman Danny Elfman score I have ever heard.
Right? It was very Oingo Boingo.
I mean, not surprisingly, that was that era. I mean, he had one or two songs. He had the one that was over the credits.
That
was him. But a lot of needle drop in the soundtrack. There's probably like 8 or so songs in there. But the actual film score is very not recognizable. I'm a huge Danny Elfman fan.
I know.
Not at all recognizable as Danny Elfman music. It was very workman.
Because that's the thing.
Understated score.
The song that starts playing at the top is his, right? Like
I think so, yeah.
So it starts the movie and you're like, dude, that's Danny Elfman. And then you see his name in the credits. And I was like, I immediately was like, oh, brother's going to be so excited about this. And then I kind of, like you said, I kind of forgot until the end credits. And I was like, that's right. It's Danny Elfman.
Yeah, it's a very understated score.
Yeah.
Not bad, completely appropriate for what it is. Yeah. But I see Danny Elfman and I have expectations.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, it's not that it was bad. It was that the expectation.
I mean, it's like if I put on said, okay, I'm going to do a singing show, right? And you come see my singing show and I do the entire thing in falsetto. You'd be like, sounded lovely, but it's not what I was expecting.
Yeah. So anything to add, my friend?
Better than School of Rock.
I would agree. I would actually agree with that. Because no one did I have to I wasn't repulsed by anyone's hair. In this one. So there you go. But hey, very excited. But so today's episode about summer school and back to school has come to an end. The month has come to an end, but the fun of movie mandates continues. It will always continue. And next month is October, and we're going with Creep Me Out as a Kid. Brother, you get to choose the first movie. So what creeped you out as a kid? I'm so excited and scared.
A lot. What's funny is I had a hard time choosing because what creeped me out as a kid boils down to certain small moments in a wide variety of different films. I couldn't really say this movie creeped me out as a kid. It was like this specific moment in this movie creeped me out as a kid. So I went with the earliest film that I can remember just creeping me out. So we're going to go with The Secret of Nim.
Oh, I so knew. I've never seen this movie.
Oh, have you not? It's actually quite good.
I am super excited
1982,
right now.
I think. Do you know which scene creeped me out as a kid?
I have a feeling that I will.
Okay.
When I see it.
Well, then I won't spoil it. Watch the movie and
I will say though, I concur with this next month's theme because there are two that I've been hopscotching with because it's all about the one thing of this movie and the one.
You know what's funny, as you might be completely unsurprised to hear, knowing that it's a Don Bluth film from the 80s. Dom DeLuise has a character in it, and he's Dom DeLuising it all over the place, which gives you an idea of what the tone, at least in part of the movie, is. But there's also
Does
many
Ken Page
moments.
make an appearance?
I don't think so. For those who don't know, Ken Page being the voice of the dinosaur crocodile in All Dogs Go to Heaven, let's make music together, that guy. Also Oogie Boogie and Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes.
I actually saw him perform, not in person, but I saw a video of him performing. Doesn't he do the sparkly crab in Moana too? Yeah. I was
Page is
he is ubiquitous. You cannot escape his majesty.
Ken Page.
So what's funny is it's a cartoon. It's Don Bluth. It's got Dom DeLuise, but so you can kind of get a sense of the tone. But there's also some dark, creepy stuff pervasive throughout the film. But there's one specific moment in a sequence that I remember bothering me when I was very young. I think I might have seen it, like, memory, of course, when I was 4 is completely unreliable, but my memory is I think I was probably in like a daycare or a preschool, could have even been like a dentist's waiting room, and it was just on the TV, but it's that kind of open area with it playing on a TV. I kind of have in my head like placemats where we all lay down for naps. So it was probably some type of daycare or preschool, and it was playing in that scene I just didn't like when I was 4 or whatever. So excited to see it again. It's I think it may have too much Dom DeLuise, but
hey, you know what? I'm super excited. It's one of those.
It's a good movie.
I'm very excited to watch it. I'm very excited to try to figure out what scene it is. I have pictures, like stills in my head of like there's mice.
There are, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The main character is Mrs. In the movie, her name is Mrs. Brisby. She's a mouse.
Very proper.
Her name is Miss Frisbee in the book. So I think, I don't know if it was like a copyright issue or a trademark issue that they couldn't use the name Frisbee for the movie, or if they were just like, everyone associates Frisbee with the flying disc, so we need to change her name a little bit just so people aren't like, I know what a Frisbee is.
I know what that is. Yes.
I know what grunions are.
I was so excited. I'm like, Christina Applegate and Josh Charles taught me all about it. So anyways, Secret of Nim from 19, you said it and I forgot it.
2, I think.
Although it doesn't really matter
Doesn't
because
matter, who
there's
cares?
only one. Whereas summer school, there's
Unlike summer school,
428.
oh yeah, quick story. That what we were talking about is I was going to watch Summer School on Tubi because, you know, why spend $4 renting it on Amazon Prime when you can watch it for free with ads on Tubi?
Right.
And according to Just Watch, which is the, you know, what I use to find what streaming service stuff is playing on, pegged it as streaming on Tubi. So I go to Tubi, I type in Summer School, and there's 3 different movies, all called Summer School, none of them that one. So I had to text my sister. I'm like, do you see it anywhere?
And my heart stopped. I was like, what are we going to do? Because I, of course, check to make sure that it's at least in the available
either something we subscribe to for streaming or something we can rent.
And for rent, I'm like, it's not going to be a 19.99 one. Like I always keep them like, yeah, exactly.
It's under $5. It's fine.
So when I saw it on Amazon, I'm like, oh, that and for 19, why is it for rent? Like it's a long time ago.
It's like
several
35
decades.
years old.
Why
Yeah.
am I still? But when you sent me that last night, I was like, did they take it off? And now we don't have anything to watch. I was really nervous. Neither of us can speak. So let's just end it because apparently the mouth isn't working. We're going to watch Secret of Nim. If you would like to watch it too, check out the description and see where it is currently streaming, available to rent. And so until then, you can watch Movie Mandates on YouTube or listen to us in the podcast form on iTunes. And if you like us, show us your love. Help us reach a wider audience with engagement. So you watch on YouTube, you like, you comment, you subscribe, you ring bells, you on iTunes, you rate, you review. And we thank you very much. So with that, I am Kelly, and you can find me on the Twitters at @GetEisengard.
And I'm Andrew. You can find me on the Twitters at Andrew Eisen.
And we hope you enjoyed this episode of Movie Mandates, and we'll be back soon with another mandated movie. Bye-bye.
Bye.